Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. 580 Live is presented by Thornhill Automotive and is broadcast live from the Par-Mar Stores studio. The country, the United States of America. The state, West Virginia. The city, Charleston. This is 580 Live. And your host of 580 Live.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Have a good Tuesday morning to you from the Par-Mar Store studio. 580 Live brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group, the voice of Charleston, WCHS. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. 580 Live brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including the new Thornhill Toyota. Toyota celebration continues. Come check out the sleek Camry, the versatile RAV4, or the all-new Tacoma. Drive away with a smile on your face and money in your pocket with Thornhill. Click or come by Thornhill Toyota, WV.com, or on US 119 in Chapmanville. We do the show from the Par-Mar Store studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon, including their newest locations, Main Street in Union, West Virginia. And later this week, a new Par-Mar will open up in Bell Valley, Ohio, just off the Bell Valley exit of I-77. That's about 30 miles north of Marietta. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. Coming up in just a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. Also a little bit later on, gubernatorial candidate, by the way. Also a little bit later on, Delegate Daniel Linville is going to be stopping by. And, of course, he's out of Cabell County. We have a lot of listeners in that area. But the main reason I want to have him on was, well, actually, there's a couple of reasons. I want to talk about this cybersecurity thing going on at Marshall University. We touched on it a little bit last week, but also want to get into talking to him a tad about some of the changes that are happening, not only in his area, but in other areas as it relates to some of these new job opportunities coming to the area. And also, we got J.B. McCuskey who'll be stopping by as well. J.B. McCuskey, the current state auditor, who wants to be the Attorney General. So we got lots to get to this morning. And Charleston City Council last night, at one point, we may have been one step away from yelling, Jerry, in honor of the late, great Jerry Springer. May he rest in peace. Now, it's a bit of a stretch, but it was a little wild last night. More allegations being levied at former police chief, now Lieutenant Tyke Hunt. More certain council members calling for an outside investigation into the way the city's handling the whole thing, etc. We'll have more on that a little bit later on. But now, let's bring in Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate Patrick Morrisey. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's good to join you with you today. Lots of good stuff going on.
You're exactly right. And Mr. AG, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the biggest outdoors guy in the world myself, but West Virginia, by and large, is filled with outdoors men and women. So I was probably a little bit shocked, although I probably shouldn't have been, at what I read last week, and that is that you and others have felt the need to write a letter to Congress asking them to enact federal legislation that would, as you and 24 other states have said, would preserve student access to weapons training. Now, a deeper dive on this, did some reading last night, I found that the U.S. Department of Education has said that the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act of the year 2022 prohibits the use of elementary and secondary education acts funds to fund courses that teach students how to safely hunt and to use archery and firearms equipment. Now, 100 years ago, sir, when I was in school, archery and gun safety were just, I guess, part of the regular curriculum, normally in something like gym class or something like that. Is that not the case anymore?
Well, I will tell you, this interpretation we think is dead wrong. And it's just part of yet another effort by the Biden administration to really go after the whole concept of maintaining and maintaining guns, or training young people in how to use a gun properly. And so we looked at this, and we thought that this was just a crazy interpretation because you want to be able to teach youth best practices so they don't misuse firearms. We think the law clearly allows that. This has been going on for a long period of time, but this administration is going to try its best, whether we're talking about hunting or fishing and archery, whether we're talking about training for firearms for young people, whether we're talking about pistol braces for disabled individuals or senior citizens. It seems like anything associated with archery or guns or any weapons, oh my goodness, you have to run away from it because somehow it's going to lead to more crime. And that's an absurd proposition. So a number of the AGs got together, and we think that it was important to clarify, make sure that there is that training for young people and for other shooting sports. I mean, look, WVU, a lot of people listening knows, I mean, we rank at the top. We're always very near the top in terms of shooting competitions, right? And I think when you think about how this impacts West Virginia or other rural states, it's terrible when this is part of the culture that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally blown away. And I'd actually seen something a couple of weeks ago, sir, on social media. Somebody posted about that, and I did a little deep dive into it last night. And yeah, I mean, it's insanity. How are we doing, totally switching gears here, how are we doing on coal plants these days, or natural gas or other fuel-based plants? Because I'm reading that there could be more restrictions coming.
Yeah, I think the big picture is that what you have is a incredible contradiction coming out of the Biden administration and a lot of the Biden administration allies. You know, if you look and see, their goal was to try to move to 67% electric vehicles, right, within a very short period of time. Now, for all those listening, if you want to get to 67% electric vehicles, you're going to have to power that somehow, right? And you have to do so through the power grid. At the very time they're trying to move to electric vehicles, they're trying to close down the coal-fired power plants in a way that's really going to make it unable for you to get to the electric vehicle. So I don't know how they even run these proposals out, because they're trying to close down fossil fuel plants, natural gas and coal, and then argue you're going to need more power to have more electric vehicles. How does that work? So unfortunately, their zeal for going after coal and for fossil fuels is so great that they're blind to the consequences of not only what would happen to the power grid, but what's going to happen for their broader goals to move to EV. And so I think that captures the Biden administration folly in a nutshell, that this administration coming up with all sorts of completely ridiculous, absurd ideas that just don't work together. But unfortunately, West Virginia pays a very high price. One, when you close down more coal-fired power plants, the price of power at the power grid is going to go through the roof. Two, we're going to continue to lose more jobs as a result of this. And three, if you try to mandate that more people move over to electric cars, these are $10,000 more expensive than a regular car. How does West Virginia stand under that type of assault? I don't think they do. That's why I'm fighting back against it.
Something else I've read, sir, again, we're talking with Attorney General and Gubernatorial candidate Patrick Morrisey. Something else I've read your office has been working on, or joining, I guess, with something like 15, 16 states or so, was to prevent a law, or try to anyway, that was passed in California that would impact trade in other states. It has to do with pork production. Now, when I say pork, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about governmental pork. I'm talking about actual pork. What is this all about?
Yeah, so California, over the last decade, they've been trying to do a lot of their regulations to set regulatory standards that are so high that other states really can't comply with them. And that makes it very, very difficult in a lot of areas to do business in California. And obviously states have the ability to conduct rules and do regulations on their own, and there can certainly be differences between the states in terms of how regulations are put together, but you're not supposed to use it to the detriment of commerce or use it as a backdoor vehicle to set up one national standard that all the other states have to comply with. And so California actually imposes some of the most rigorous animal welfare rules in the country. And this is important because any pork that's not produced under the California regulations is forbidden for being sold in California. And that's significant because California residents buy about 13% of all national pork. And so that means that if you're in West Virginia, if you're in Ohio or Texas, and you're trying to ship your pork products to California, where there are a lot of consumers, you're not able to unless you comply with all of their animal welfare rules, which are incredibly stringent. And this is really an effort to not only help their climate change agenda, but it's going to make it very difficult, if not impossible, for the out-of-state companies to comply. And in particular, this hurts West Virginia. So we're saying, no, this is an attack on states' rights, and that states have to have the ability to regulate within reason, and that California can't really regulate outside of its state. It's overreaching the way they've done this. And so we've stepped up to say no to protect our farmers.
How's the campaign for governor going, sir?
You know, the campaign's going well. I think that we're getting a lot of support and momentum. We've been doing a lot of meetings. The last week and a half, I've had meetings virtually every single night where we've been talking with a lot of folks across West Virginia about the importance of really helping West Virginia reach her potential and address a lot of the big challenges that our state's facing. And I've made the argument that if you're going to elect a governor, you need to elect a proven conservative with a record of getting big things done for our state. And I am the only proven conservative running in this gubernatorial race. And that's not to criticize other people that may have fine ideas, or they may be fine people, but it matters whether you've been there and done that, whether you have the record on the issues, not just what you say and what you're trying to accomplish. How many people listening have been disappointed by what a lot of Republicans or politicians say or promise? You want someone who actually has a deep record of accomplishment advancing these conservative ideas. That's certainly what we've done in terms of protecting people's jobs, defending our Second Amendment rights, defending Hope Scholarship, school choice to drive educational attainment forward. No one has that record who's running other than myself. And that, I think people are really resonating with that message because they know there's a difference between folks that are promising and those who are delivering. And I also think that people know that my background, I'm not born from political royalty. I've had to work very hard for reaching the place that I'm at, and that's because people know I fight and I win at a level that's different than other candidates.
I want to make this one quick, sir, before we let you go. I know we're still a ways away, but you are running for governor, as you just talked about. We know at least 3 people on the Republican ticket are going to be running for the office of AG that you currently occupy. One of those being State Auditor J.B. McCuskey. He'll be on the show later. State Senator and former U.S. Attorney Mike Stewart and State Senator Ryan Weld. I know it's early, but is there any chance that you may at some point go out and endorse one of those candidates prior to the primary next year?
Well, yeah, I certainly reserve the right to weigh in and endorse any of the candidates. I'm watching closely, like a lot of voters are, because it is early, right?
Yeah.
But most certainly I want to make sure that there's a strong attorney general. It's an important job. You want to make sure you get the right person, because when I think about the job that I'm applying for as governor of the state of West Virginia, I think about how West Virginia wins, and the quick answer is you win as a team. It's a team sport, and you want to have the governor, the attorney general, the treasurer, the legislature all moving in the same direction, and I think that can happen a lot more into the future. So I'm looking forward to evaluating that AG's race and deciding whether to weigh in or not. You have some good candidates, some good people that are running, and so I'm anxious to see how they're going to run their campaigns. But most assuredly, we're going to need all hands on deck to tackle the challenges that are facing our state.
Attorney General and candidate for Governor Patrick Morrisey, it's always a pleasure. We'll talk again, sir. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks so much, Dave. Be well.
922 580 Live, brought to you in part by QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. Is that knee pain of yours getting worse? What about the pain in your hips or your shoulders or your back? Get real, lasting relief without surgery, without drugs, or without downtime. Call QC Kinetics today, 304-202-5566, 304-202-5566 for QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. Delegate Daniel Linville is up next from the Parmar Store Studio. 580 Live is brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses have been creating jobs in West Virginia since 1997.
Reckless big government policies are putting the American dream out of reach. We all know Washington is broken, but it doesn't have to be. Senator Joe Manchin could be part of the solution if he stood up for West Virginia values. Instead, he voted with Joe Biden on the Inflation Reduction Act, which led to higher taxes, trillions in new spending, and tens of thousands of new IRS agents. Tell Joe Manchin, Mountaineers want real, common sense solutions. To learn more, visit prosperityispossible.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Get ready for the ultimate summer savings at the new Thornhill Toyota Celebration. Hey, it's Sydney, inviting you to the Thornhill Motor Mile to take advantage of our red, white, and vroom savings. Upgrade your ride with unbeatable deals on our top models, from the sleek Camry to the versatile RAV4 or the all-new Tacoma. We have the perfect car for your summer adventures. You can drive away with a smile on your face and money in your pocket. Click or come by ThornhillToyotaWV.com or US 119 in Chapmanville for the summer celebration. See Thornhill for full details.
The most wonderful time of the year is here. Of course, I'm talking about football season, and your local Parmar stores are ready. Hey, it's Dave Allen. And whether you need to gas up the tank, grab a bite to eat, or stock up on snacks and drinks for the tailgate party or for your own couch, Parmar's got you covered. Parmar is the official store of the West Virginia Secondary Schools Activities Commission and of Marshall University. Happy football. And remember, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
580 Live, presented in part by Hudson's Pizza. This month, get yourself a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and an order of cheese sticks, only $21.99. For locations, place an order or for delivery, visit Hudson'sPizza.com. Text says, Patrick Morrisey asked why he supports an adjudicated sex abuser who thinks the vice president can unilaterally select the president. Text says, don't students get weapons training every time there's a school shooting? Text says, ask Morrisey what his plans are to protect kids who are committing suicide with guns and dying in gun homicide deaths. Gun deaths are the number one killer of kids. Text says, Morrisey has an issue with animals being treated humanely before slaughter, but no qualms about China owning the majority of America's pork industry. West Virginia would be ignorant to elect Morrisey. Text says, Morrisey says he supports Trump. That's not true. He said back in 2016 that Trump was a nutcase. He supported Ted Cruz, according to a text. Delegate Daniel Linville, not a nutcase. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave.
I got no microphone on Daniel there.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, Ryan, do we have Daniel's mic? Try now.
Hey, testing.
There we go. There we go. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad not to be a nutcase.
Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. I had the good fortune yesterday, Daniel, of sitting in on an economic roundtable discussion, bipartisan, by the way.
Yeah.
Some elected officials. I don't know why I was there. I thought there'd be cheese. Sure. They asked me to come in. Some elected officials were there. Some tourism people, some business leaders, Chamber of Commerce, etc. One of the takeaways, delegate, from the meeting was, to the chagrin of a lot of people, is that people are coming to West Virginia.
They are.
Not to the people that were in that room. They weren't upset, but other people say, oh, they're not coming. They're coming.
They are.
The economic data shows it. And they're looking for housing. In Putnam County, where I live, and I know in Cabell County, where you reside in that case, where you serve, Nucor in Apple Grove. Now you have this proposed hydrogen plant in Mason County, the new Marshall Cybersecurity Center that I know you have been very involved in. What do you make of all this and all the naysayers that are saying good things aren't happening in West Virginia?
Well, I think it clearly shows that it is, right? I mean, we're just now beginning to see the impact that Nucor is having on the job market, right? They were waiting on permits. It's a challenge sometimes to build things in this country, obviously, but we're really excited about the things that are going on right now, and we're beginning to see it. So, the Nucor announcement was like 2 years ago, but obviously they're now able to begin construction. They just got the Corps of Engineers permit, and you're beginning to see some of that downstream investment. So you've got Fidelis coming in, which is the $2.1 billion hydrogen hub, and some of those things. But then on top of that, I remember Frontieris. There's been talks about them coming in to generate the base carbon from coal, by the way, that will help in the steel production for Nucor. I mean, there's so much goodness coming for our area. And yes, you're exactly right. We need more houses. We need more places for people to live. And it's going to be a really incredible time in our economy as all this construction happens, because there's going to be all these construction workers. Then you're going to have a further need for more permanent housing. It's just an absolutely incredible time for all of West Virginia. I mean, this is happening all over the state, but most especially sort of in that Route 2, Mason County, Putnam County, Jackson County, Cabell County corridor. It's just absolutely incredible.
They're getting ready to build 306 townhouses.
Yeah.
In just down the road from me.
Yeah.
A little bit in Tays Valley. 306 units are going to be going in. I think it's 306. I think it's the number. And one of the things I thought, as it relates to Nucor, I thought was interesting, they're building, and you know this, they're building dorms for the workers, for all the people that are coming in, because they don't have enough hotel space, whatever. So they're actually going to be, from what I understand, and you're an insider and it's not me, they're actually constructing dorms for the construction workers to live in.
That's right. Well, you're seeing that. You're seeing campgrounds, because a lot of times folks like to take their per diem, the construction guys, and buy an RV and then be able to park them. The biggest correlation I could draw on this, if you remember when the natural gas pipelines were coming through, you saw like campgrounds popping up everywhere, but those were only there for a short period of time, because once that pipeline was finished in that area, they'd move on. Well, this is, sustained multi-year construction jobs that are going to be coming in. It's going to put a lot of tradesmen to work. It's going to put, a lot of money moving through our economy. And we're just now about to see that. So what's incredible for that is that for the people of the state of West Virginia, we've got automatic triggers on your personal income tax reductions, and we're going to see huge bumps in our tax collections just based upon the construction activity to start with. And then you've got the permanent jobs that come after that. So it's just incredible.
Talking with Delegate Daniel Linville, somebody texted, wanted to know about the in-state construction workers that are going to be working there. Do you have any intel on that?
Sure. So my understanding is that Nucor is looking for basically any possible construction workers. So I think if you're in this state and you're ready to go to work on these projects, they'll employ you. You're going to be less expensive because they're going to have to pay less money to house you and a lot of those sorts of things. So the reality is they've got to find 2,000 people for 3 years running 24/7, and that's just Nucor. That's before we begin to work on all these efforts on, again, the hydrogen hub, on perhaps Frontieris, on the Berkshire Hathaway Energy deal in Jackson County. So I think if you're in the construction business in the state of West Virginia, if you're a construction tradesman, you're going to have a job, and you're going to have a job probably for the next decade.
We'll talk about infrastructure for a moment. Obviously, we got to have it, specifically broadband. And I've preached it, and I've said, broadband is the water. It's the sewage, or it's not about some kid playing a video game, as one of my texters said a couple of weeks ago. That's not what broadband is. Right. You cannot operate a business in the state of West Virginia or in any other state without reliable broadband. I know Senator Capito, Mitch Carmichael had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. Others have been out talking about it. What's the latest? You're involved in this.
So we're really excited, and we did something really, really great in your state legislature and all of state government. The Office of Broadband and your state legislature codified and designed maps that basically, if you look at it, amounted to us receiving $400 million more dollars than we otherwise were going to receive. So we took $800 million, turned it into $1.2 million. Just by proving where the internet was and wasn't in the state of West Virginia.
The mapping, as they call it.
That's right. And so that's why maps matter, is that it tells you how much money you get in some of these federal programs, and it tells you where you can spend it. So we're working through that. Obviously, the biggest challenge that we have right now is the time it takes to construct. And I mentioned regulatory issues, even with Nucor there. It's the same thing in broadband. So we actually heard in February in testimony before my committee that, while 2 years or so ago is when we began to hand out some of these dollars. At that point, it was less than 100 homes had new broadband available to them. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the number that it's going to be. Everyone is now saying that this $1.2 billion should be able to have us be able to get an option to every single person in this state by the time that we're done. But now it's speed. That's what we've got to work on. And I don't just mean speed of your internet connection. I mean speed to construction. And so we're beginning to see that. And we're beginning to see all these dollars that we're putting out and granting out also result in a lot more private investment in it. So you're seeing areas that already have broadband get significant upgrades. I know Frontier, Comcast, a lot of the others are really starting to throw a lot of dollars back into their network because they don't want somebody else to be able to come in and steal their customers.
Talking with Delegate Daniel Linville. Now, explain exactly the district that you serve, sir.
So I serve District 22, and basically the boundaries of that are I've got basically half of Cabell County. I've got the eastern part of Cabell County. So my district boundaries, I've got about half of Ona, about where Cabell Midland High School is, and then everything to the east. So I've got Milton, Culloden, Leasage, and sort of all those areas. And my boundaries are the Ohio River, the Mason County line, and the Putnam County line, and the Lincoln County line. So it's a great place, and Milton's obviously getting a flood wall, and Milton's a great place where living is a pleasure is the motto.
Text says, will Nucor use West Virginia workers? I think you've already answered that. The March 19th Herald Dispatch story by Fred Pace paints a different picture of the labor they use. Lots of workers from western states.
Sure. So again, my big thing is that they need workers no matter where they come from, right? I think that if you're in West Virginia and you want to work, you're going to be able to have a job.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's the way I read it as well. Delegate, it's an exciting time to be in West Virginia, but is it perfect? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. And so I'm going to say negative, but I'm going to bring up some things we got to work on. We just wrapped up interims. You alluded to it earlier in the special session. Foster care. Yep. It's still a major problem. And, of course, this mess in corrections. Are we making any headway, sir?
Well, we absolutely are. So on foster care, I want to touch on this, and I've heard some folks talk on your show a little bit about it. So I came into the legislature in 2018, and 2019, 2020, we created the Foster Care Ombudsman's Office. So that's basically a neutral third party that helps to adjudicate these things. We passed a Foster Children and Families Bill of Rights. We threw an extra $30 million annually into our foster care program to bring up the amount of dollars that foster families are able to receive and bring and use for these children that are some of the most needy that we absolutely have. Then in addition to that, we put in further supports for grandfamilies because we know there's a lot of grandparents that end up raising their grandkids. Way too many. And so we're beginning to address that. I spoke with some folks at DHHR when I saw the recent class action, I think that was brought related to foster care. And my understanding is that we're hiring in an incredible number of new CPS workers, and you're beginning to see that filter out. But their process on it essentially is that as they bring in a new CPS worker, they're going to give them one or two cases, right? And then slowly train them up and get them used to the job. And we've had CPS workers that have had a lot of challenges, 30 plus cases to deal with. And a case is not just one child, it's a family, right? So that's a very difficult thing to try to make sure that they do everything that we've tasked them with. But my understanding is that based upon the hiring that we're doing, that's going to get down to about 15 cases. That's a lot more manageable caseload. So do we still have our challenges? Undeniably. There's no question about it. By definition, when you look at a child that's in foster care, that's a child who's had a very difficult upbringing. It's very hard to take somebody's parental rights and to place that child with somebody else. So we've got to do two things. Number one, take care of the kids that we've got right now that are in the state's care. Those are foster kids. And the second thing is to create an economy and to create a state where that happens less and less.
What about corrections?
Corrections, yeah, we're making big progress on corrections. Obviously, we deployed a significant amount of dollars for past due sort of deferred maintenance. We've been working on that a long time, did that also for our colleges and universities, but then in addition made a very significant pay raise this time. I know there's been a lot of talk about the non-uniformed officers. We modified some of what we had in front of us during the special session to give them two retention bonuses. One, saying thank you for what you've already done, and a second for saying thank you for continuing to stay. And then I think we're all pretty committed to making sure that we can further raise their pay as we move forward. So we've got a lot of work to do, obviously. No matter what, we're going to have challenges in this state, but we can walk and chew gum all at the same time. And I think there's a lot of good things happening that are going to allow us to further address a lot of these problems that we have.
Before we let you go, again, we're talking with Delegate Daniel Linville here on 580 Live. I want to talk about you for a moment, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. You can stop me.
Sure.
But I got the idea sir, that at one point you may have been toying with perhaps maybe running for a different office next year? Sure. Maybe you thought about it. You staying put in the House of Delegates, or have you made up your mind yet?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay in the House. So I thought a lot about potentially running for Secretary of State. It's a very interesting kind of dynamic there. I'm very interested in election security. I'm interested in making sure that people are confident that their vote counts. But as I surveyed sort of some of the things that are going on with me and my family and my ability to impact my district, I decided that I think that staying in the House of Delegates is probably the right move for me right now. I'm a young man. I'm in my mid-early 30s.
You don't have to rub it in, but okay.
Well, so look, but it's never been about me and my ambitions or those sorts of things. It's always been about where I think I can make the biggest difference. So I chose to try to stay in the House of Delegates, and will happily announce here. I've said it to some of my confidants, but that I will be seeking re-election next year to the House, and continuing on in the role that I'm in, and hopefully continue to enjoy the confidence of my voters. And they've not gotten sick and tired of me yet and kicked me out. So that's a bonus. But if I may, before we go, Marshall Cybersecurity.
Yes,
I want to set the record straight on Marshall Cybersecurity for everybody. So a couple of items. Marshall Cybersecurity is already a program that we have, roughly has 300 students, has been ranked number one in the nation repeatedly, and all we're doing is adding fuel to that fire. So last year, they came in 13th in a competition, and that doesn't sound all that great until you realize that was against not just other universities. We took students, and we were competing against government agencies like the FBI, CIA, NSA, all those sorts of things, and private companies with people that have been doing this for their whole career, and we came in 13th using students. So it's absolutely incredible. There are 750,000 vacancies in cybersecurity, and this program at Marshall University has
Are we talking nationwide?
Yeah, worldwide. But what's great about cybersecurity is you can do it from anywhere. So you can do it right here in the state of West Virginia and be working for a company anywhere. But then the last thing that I'll mention on that, this program at Marshall University has a 0% unemployment rate. Every single graduate gets a job.
Wow.
So they can do it here, they can stay here, they can raise their family here, and they can make six figures right here in West Virginia with a 4-year degree.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here as always. And I was going to say dropping a big bombshell, but really wasn't a bomb. But I appreciate you announcing it here.
You bet. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Delegate Daniel Linville. It is 21 minutes away from 10, 580 Live, brought to you part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Birds been out on the road for about a week. They're back at home tonight at Go-Mart Ballpark to take on Frederick. It's another $2 Tuesday plus baseball bingo sponsored by AARP. For tickets, Dirty Birds gear, scheduled promotions, and more, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. Back after this for the Parmar Store Studio, 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses are small businesses with big impact, including Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder, your hip, or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Dave Allen. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural advanced regenerative medicine. They're helping people here every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to, and there's zero downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough. Patients here are getting real lasting relief and are saying no to surgery and drugs. If you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option that you need to check out, and the consultation's free. Call QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes for your complimentary consultation. 304-202-5566. 304-202-5566.
Get ready for the ultimate summer savings at the new Thornhill Toyota Celebration. Hey, it's Sydney, inviting you to the Thornhill Motor Mile to take advantage of our red, white, and vroom savings. Upgrade your ride with unbeatable deals on our top models, from the sleek Camry to the versatile RAV4 or the all-new Tacoma. We have the perfect car for your summer adventures. You can drive away with a smile on your face and money in your pocket. Click or come by ThornhillToyotaWV.com or US 119 in Chapmanville for the summer celebration. See Thornhill for full details.
Reckless big government policies are putting the American dream out of reach. We all know Washington is broken, but it doesn't have to be. Senator Joe Manchin could be part of the solution if he stood up for West Virginia values. Instead, he voted with Joe Biden on the Inflation Reduction Act, which led to higher taxes, trillions in new spending, and tens of thousands of new IRS agents. Tell Joe Manchin, Mountaineers want real, common sense solutions. To learn more, visit prosperityispossible.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Elevators. You take them for granted until they let you down. If you're working to maintain a stellar reputation, then let me introduce you to DC Elevator. We want to work with you to make sure your people get where they are going. What could be better than a new company coming to the area and already having 45 years of experience? DC Elevator is bringing a new culture of elevator maintenance, repairs, modernization, and installation to West Virginia. Don't leave your people hanging. For a free consultation, call DC Elevator at 304-345-7222.
580 Live brought to you by Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in West Virginia for asbestos and mold. Asbestos was banned in some building products, but it isn't banned for all products in the U.S. Don't expose your family or workers to asbestos, mold, or lead paint. Get with Pinnacle Consultants. They offer real estate, environmental assessments for hazardous materials and air quality, too. Visit PinnacleCorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Welcome to the show, State Auditor and candidate now for Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. How are you, sir?
Hey, Dave, how you doing, buddy? Am I on the Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline here?
You are indeed on the Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline, which comes to you from the Parmar Store studio. Yes, indeed, you are.
My man.
All right.
How are you?
I'm well. I don't think I've had you on since you made the announcement that you would not be running for governor, but instead would make a run at state attorney general. Still, a little early on, I guess. But the decision comes about a month or so ago. Or I guess it's about a month or so ago you made that announcement. Do you think so far you made the right decision?
Yeah, I feel great about the decision, Dave, and the outpouring of support that I've gotten, not just from my supporters, but from people all across West Virginia has really been overwhelming, and I'm just super excited about the opportunity to continue to serve West Virginians.
Well, why do you think you'll make a good attorney general, JB?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I think first and most importantly is that my experience both as a legislator and in private practice representing coal, oil and gas companies, and just companies all across West Virginia, along with the 7 years that we've spent in the auditor's office, making West Virginia the most transparent state in the country, working to reform our state bureaucracy, doing everything we can to reduce taxpayer expense and create better outcomes for every taxpayer, but importantly also establishing the Public Integrity and Fraud Unit. We have created an environment where we have incredible relationships with prosecutors all around the state, with law enforcement all around the state, to truly start to tackle the fraud that affects so many places around West Virginia and punish people to felony conviction when they don't treat taxpayer money like it's owned by the taxpayers. And I think that is an incredibly important thing to remember, is that every single dollar that is spent by every single government is owned by the taxpayer, and it needs to be used to advance West Virginians. And so we take that to heart, and in our office, we have reduced the size of our office by 20%. We've reduced the expense of our office by about the same amount, and we are truly committed to making sure that every single dollar that taxpayers spend is spent properly and used to make sure that West Virginians' lives are being advanced and bettered.
Talking again to State Auditor J.B. McCuskey, who is also candidate for Attorney General. J.B., you told me when we were setting up the interview that you wanted to talk about your job that you've done as State Auditor and about your chances running for Attorney General, but you didn't want to get into specifics about your opponents, and I certainly will honor that. They haven't always done that. Why are you taking that road?
Yeah, I think when we're looking at a primary environment, we're all Republicans, and we are all looking to make sure that West Virginia is positioned properly in the marketplace of America. We have young families all across this country who are looking for a place to escape high-tax liberal policies, and every single person running in West Virginia on our ticket is looking to make sure that that happens. And so for me, we are all interviewing for a job, and I have great respect for everybody, and my job as a candidate is going to be to tell the people of West Virginia why I'm going to be the great Attorney General, and I'm really excited about advancing that message.
Are you worried at all, or have you heard from anybody that when you originally, JB, in the race for governor, that may not support you for AG because maybe they'd already, given their support to another candidate or whatever? Have you heard any of that?
Sure, certainly that is something that we hear, and I respect everybody's decision. There are great people all across the spectrum, and I'm just looking forward to telling West Virginians why it is that I'm the best person to protect our coal, oil, and natural gas industries from, the Biden agenda that seeks to thwart what is probably the greatest period of economic development that our state has ever had. And I think that, those industries are the underpinning of what this growth is. They have enabled our state to grow in the past. They will continue to enable our state to grow. And I think the first and most important thing that our Attorney General is going to need to do is to continue General Morrisey's great work on ensuring those industries continue to have a vibrant future in West Virginia.
Go ahead.
No,
you go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, and I think the second part there is you have to ensure that we are keeping the value set of West Virginians first, right? So that means taking the work that the legislature has done to advance the Second Amendment and life and the First Amendment and protecting all of those great advancements that the legislature's made so that this state remains the place that young conservative families are going to want to move to.
I had Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and Gubernatorial candidate Patrick Morrisey on top of the show, JB, and I asked him if he was planning on endorsing any of the candidates for Attorney General. He said he probably would. I think if that was the word, he said he probably would at some point, but it's not early. Is that something that you will actively seek as an endorsement from him? Do you think he'll do one or what?
He has been an absolutely incredible Attorney General in so many ways, and if he were to want to endorse me, that would be something that would be truly an honor.
Okay, all right. So, how's the campaign going out there so far? What are you doing out on the trail? Who you seeing? Whose hands you shaking? Whose babies you hugging? What are you doing out there?
Sure. So, one of the things that I'm really focused on in this race is we have a rising tide in West Virginia, right? There is excitement about our state, and the world is looking at West Virginia as a place to move. And I think what we talked about earlier is how the Attorney General is going to play a critical role in making sure that tide continues to rise. But I think the other half of that is we have to make sure that tide truly raises all ships. And I think the things that we are starting to focus on the campaign trail is how do we use this incredible opportunity to give better opportunities for all of those rural communities that have been ravaged by the opioid crisis and ravaged by unemployment caused by the war on coal and all of these things. And that, in my estimation, means making sure that we have a world-class education system in West Virginia, a place where parent involvement continues to be at the forefront, a place where we are giving our teachers the protection and the resources they need, and importantly, trying to find solutions to several huge problems. One being the child care crisis in West Virginia. We have deserts all across this state where young families are not able to find a place for their child to go while they go to work. This causes unemployment, in many instances, we have children who are being raised by grandparents, and we have children who are being raised, unfortunately, by parents who are suffering from substance abuse. And so that particular problem, I think, if we can find really great conservative solutions there, would be a huge boon to our economy and support many of our young families that are struggling. I think, secondarily, we need to find a very conservative approach to criminal justice reform. I am very focused on the prisons crisis, and I think there are ways that we can work with our prosecutors, work with people in law enforcement to start to punish those who need to be punished, right? Ensure that violent criminals and people who truly do not need to be in our society are locked up. But find better solutions for people who need treatment to be in treatment, and to make sure that we don't have a two-tier justice system where the powerful are held to a different standard than those who are less powerful.
State Auditor, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there are ways that we can save taxpayer dollars while also, advancing the truly important mission of supporting our law enforcement and making sure that West Virginia remains a place that, like I said before, young families see as a safe environment for them and their children to live a fantastic life.
State Auditor and candidate now for Attorney General J.B. McCuskey, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, as you love to say, on the Bigly Piggly Wiggly hotline.
Hey, Dave, thanks so much. And let me just say one more thing.
Yeah.
West Virginia has emerged as, sort of one of the great places for young families to come and to live. And I think every single one of us who is seeking public office needs to make sure that attracting those young families here and supporting the young families that have truly built this economy is our number one focus. If we can make sure that the next generation of West Virginians continues to have our value set and is prepared for the 21st century economy, the sky is absolutely the limit for West Virginia, and I just couldn't possibly be more excited to play a part in this renaissance. All
right, we'll talk soon. Be safe out on the road, man. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
State Auditor and candidate now for Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. Phone calls to 580 Live are a service of Bigly Piggly Wiggly. Texting services provided by Fruth Pharmacy, your hometown family pharmacy. Text says, quit pretending that the economic development isn't due to Democratic wins by President Biden and Joe Manchin. Just ask Nucor, quote, citing the passage of the CHIPS and Science Act and Inflation Reduction Act, as well as a wave of other investments, is reshoring manufacturing capacity and energy transition projects. The team at Charlotte-based Nucor said it expects key customer segments such as the automotive industry and the utility sector to show strong demand in 2023, along with non-residential construction more broadly, according to a texter. Text says, Dave, no matter what party you're in, you have to give Biden credit for all these jobs coming to our states. It's great, says a texter, that people want to come here to work, but if you're coming from disasters like Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, or Portland, don't think that we mountaineers will just sit back and let you turn us into socialist Marxist nightmares that you just fled from your votes. If that's your plan, don't come here. We're back after this from the Parmar Store Studio, 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
Get ready for the ultimate summer savings at the new Thornhill Toyota Celebration. Hey, it's Sydney, inviting you to the Thornhill Motor Mile to take advantage of our red, white, and vroom savings. Upgrade your ride with unbeatable deals on our top models, from the sleek Camry to the versatile RAV4 or the all-new Tacoma. We have the perfect car for your summer adventures. You can drive away with a smile on your face and money in your pocket. Click or come by ThornhillToyotaWV.com or US 119 in Chapmanville for the summer celebration. See Thornhill for full details.
At Pew Furniture Warehouse Showrooms, we are unloading truck after truck. Shipments of lift chairs, baby furniture, and I mean loads of baby furniture. Amish-made bedrooms and dining rooms. When buying Amish furniture, you can have it just the way you want. Our made in West Virginia Almost Heaven mattresses. Don't forget, these mattresses are flippable. We also carry a good selection of power bases and hybrid mattresses. Check out our selection of sofas, reclining furniture, and sleeper sofas, made here in the USA. We are offering an additional 10% off store-wide on the tagged price, excluding clearance items. Clearance area changes weekly. Buy it today and have it in your home tomorrow. We offer 12 months same as cash to qualified buyers. Pew Furniture Warehouse Showrooms, 1320 Smith Street, Charleston. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5:30, Saturday, 10 to 5, Sunday closed.
Having issues with your home like wet basements, water in your crawl space, bowing or leaning walls, or foundation cracks? You need Foster Construction, your foundation repair experts. Locally owned and operated, Foster Construction offers free inspections and estimates and has a licensed professional engineer on staff. Their services include basement and crawl space waterproofing, foundation repair, and retaining walls. Call 304-776-6263 and get started today. Online at fosterconstructionwv.com. Foster Construction. They'll fix it right the first time.
Music superstar Lana Del Rey is coming to the Charleston Coliseum Convention Center on October the 5th. You can register to win tickets at WCHSnetwork.com/tickets by this Friday. Then tune into Metro News Hotline daily as Weekly and Coop will choose one lucky winner to play Hotline's Too Easy to Fail quiz between 3 and 6. Don't miss a chance to catch her at the Coliseum Convention Center, brought to you by Metro News Hotline. To Charleston City Council last night, Jarrett Lewis with the story posted at WVMetroNews.com. As Jarrett says in the story, some council members want something more to be done in the situation with former police chief, now police lieutenant Tyke Hunt. Now, you recall a woman claims, and then Chief Hunt admitted to, an inappropriate relationship with this woman. The city investigated it, and Hunt was suspended for 3 days. He, on Friday of last week, resigned as chief, citing personal and medical reasons. Now, he's been having back issues, surgical procedures, things of that nature, I understand. He has now assumed the role of lieutenant, or will when he's off, I guess, medical leave. Now comes word that perhaps another woman is coming forward with allegations. Important to remember, these are allegations that were discussed in City Council, allegations only at this point. Now, the city hasn't responded to the latest allegations either way. Councilwoman Shannon Snodgrass has said that she wasn't happy with the way the city handled the first allegation, which again, then Chief Hunt admitted to, and she, Councilwoman Snodgrass, had asked for an outside investigation. This latest allegation only, involves a former police officer. Again, this is all part of the record at Charleston City Council last night. You can read about it at WVMetroNews.com. One council member argued that Councilwoman Snodgrass was out of order and thought that maybe such a thing should be brought up in an executive session. It was also alleged by at least a couple of council members that they were being harassed by someone or someone's, not clear who. But in doing some digging, I think I have my answers as to who it was. And I'm sorry, there's no place for that. There's no place for it. It's a mess either way, and just do better. Everyone simply do better. 580 Live is brought to you part by Generations Physical Therapy. 7 convenient locations along I-64. They're hiring, too, for both licensed and technically trained staff. For more information, visit generationspt.com. Text says, I know one thing young people are claiming for, a repressive religion-based government. I think that was tongue-in-cheek. McCuskey says the texter is another bad faith Republican. Notice how he claims he wants to uplift everyone, but explicitly said he wants to make West Virginia a place where young conservative families want to live. What's with the GOP imposing an ideological test for residents? At 53%, says the texter, West Virginia ranks 51st among state employment to population ratios in the nation. 51st. As hard as it is as a texter for some of your listeners to expect, Manchin's power in D.C. is working out well for West Virginia. Biden has to clear everything with Joe. It's beautiful. All right. 580 Live was presented in part by Meeks Realty Group, 2, our area's most beautiful properties. These are the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. Visit them online, meeks.us, or call 304-440-1101. Coming up on the show tomorrow, Brad McElhenney. We're going to talk about the lack of alcohol at Art Walk. Some people are upset about that. Plus, we got Delegate and State Democratic Party Chair Mike Pushkin on the show tomorrow as well. Ryan Nicholson was my producer. Ryan, thank you so much. No Hoppy today. He's on vacation. Dave Wilson in the big chair. I will see you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston, 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.